Yes, we were having some technical difficulties, and I was not sure if the music was going to play, but it actually did play. So, when you hear the theme song, the Isley Brothers, we've got work to do. That lets you know that you are here and you are present for the workplace with your regular pastor. Regular host, who is the pastor Tony Orr. But Tony is on the road doing the work that must be done, the work of making sure that there are labor organizers in all of the areas for which he is responsible. He is responsible in Texas. He is responsible in Louisiana. He is responsible in Mississippi, I think, and he's responsible in Little Rock. I don't really know, but that's what I think. I'm sure that he will correct me when he is back on next week. But he is out, and I am rolling solo. And I want to thank you for stopping in for this broadcast, for stopping in to hear us talk about the work that has to be done in order for us to realize our goal. And our goal is to make sure that we are struggling towards, that we are moving forward, that we are progressing toward collective liberation. Collective liberation is for everybody, because if there's one person who is not free, that means that none of us are free. And so we are working for all of us to be liberated in this space. So thank you so much for joining us for the workplace here at KABF 88.3 FM. And I want to make sure that I am always mindful to remind myself. It's not about reminding you, it's about reminding myself that if it were not for you, we would not be here. In August, we will be celebrating 39 years of broadcasting locally. And now we have the modern technology that allows us to broadcast internationally, globally. We are a platform where people can come and listen and be educated, be empowered to learn about what it means to be free as a collective, what it means to be free as humans, what it means to be free as a people. And that's what we are talking about. And on Thursdays, we talk about that as it relates to the workers, the workplace having work to do. I'm not going to focus on the workplace today, but I am going to make sure that I stick with the theme of making sure that we understand that the work is not complete, regardless of the gains that we have made as Black folks, regardless of the gains that people have made as LGBTQ folks, regardless of the gains that people may have made in the areas of education or healthcare or poverty or hunger, whatever fields that we focus on, where we feel like we have made we've accomplished some things, where we have, what is it we used to say? We may not be where we want to be, but thank God we're not where we used to be. And so we have these feelings that we've accomplished something, that some goals have been met, that some achievements have been claimed, but yet there is still work to do. And so we want to talk about that. And so I'm going to pause for a moment to see if I have any announcements that I need to make. I feel like I do have some announcements, but I'm not really sure. Maybe I need to look on um, my email to find some announcements. I did not. I will be the first to say that I did not capture them, so I don't have any announcements to make other than the fact that you need to make sure that you are marking your calendars for July 8th, which is our next Black Love event. It is Black Love 3, from the voices of women, men, and everyone in between. And we invite all of you to join us at 7 o'clock. That's on a Saturday night at the New Deal Gallery, which is located at 2003 South Louisiana Street, right here in the city of Little Rock, in the state of Arkansas. The area code is 72206. We're going to be talking about what it means to escape the system of white inhumanity that constantly attacks Black love. We're not talking about Black love as it relates to the romantic. That might come up, but that is not the focus of our conversation. The focus of our conversation is to talk about it, to think about how the system of white inhumanity continues to characterize, make caricatures out of what it means to love as Black. They continue to mock us in the media. They continue to dehumanize us in the music that we listen to. They continue to make sure that Black love is something that we are able to dismiss easily because it's something that is not important. And so we want to counter that. We want to challenge that. We want to make sure that people are recognizing what is happening to us as we are under attack, those of us who believe in the power of Black love. And so that is what the conversation is about. We invite you to join us. If you are not able to join us on that Saturday, where you can pay what you can. Like you may not have any money, you can still join us in the space. You may only have a penny, you can still join us in the space. You may only have $1,000, you can still join us in the space. You may only have $5,000, you can still join us in the space. So whatever your level of economic ability in that moment to contribute to the conversation, you are welcome in this space. We do suggest that you pay the $15, but I ain't tripping about that. Again, whatever you can. If you have nothing, you are still able to come and enjoy the conversation and be inspired and motivated by it, to be changed and transformed by it, so that you can figure out where you can fit in to the struggle, so that we can make sure that all of us are fighting towards collective liberation. I want to make sure that I say that the phone lines are open at 501-433-0088. The phone lines are open at 501-433-0088. I also want to make sure that I say that our new equipment has not yet arrived. And so just like on Tuesday, it is possible that we may experience some difficulties getting you on the air. But I want you to know that my goal, my purpose is to make sure that everyone who calls in, that we can figure out a way that the 100,000 watts that we have to offer, the global platform that is available through our streaming options, that you are able to be heard in this space. So I'm going to try everything that we tried on Tuesday. I'm going to try some new things that I come up with on my own, so that we can figure out how to get you on the air, because that is our goal. And I hope that you are anticipating eagerly, as I am, the welcome of our new equipment when it comes. I do have one announcement. I almost forgot. We are not having Domino's in the Park on tomorrow. Tony is out of town. He will be in Houston training the new organizers that he has hired for that space. And I had already had some time off that I was taking to tend to my own body. And so those times converged, and we are not able to host the event on this particular Friday. But that's just for this Friday. Please, 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 we will make the announcement on next week to let you know that we will be at Petaway Park. It is on 21st Street. We will be there on the following Friday, not tomorrow, but the following Friday, making sure that your voices are heard, not just at the Domino's table, but all of the conversations that come to life as we are playing Domino's. We talk about everything from dating to parenting to grief to mourning to social justice issues to activating to mobilizing to challenging to pushing back. All of that happens at that picnic table as we are having a conversation. I shouldn't say picnic table, as we are having a conversation at that bench, on on Fridays from 5 to 7. And sometimes we stay even till 8, even 8:30 until it gets too dark to play. So I do want to make that particular announcement. On Tuesday, I started a conversation with us about the power of the chess game, the game of chess. I was giving and I was paying homage to, or maybe not homage, I was giving praise and being thankful and grateful for National Chess Master Tony Davis, who was willing to spend some time with me, a person who has not yet learned the game of chess, who is interested in the game of chess, but I had not yet learned it, and I still have not learned it. I know more about it now as a result of being with him on last Friday, but I still am not clear. I'm still not effective in the game because I have not even played one game yet. And I was talking about how inspired I was us by the game and how it parallels what we need to think about, particularly as Black folks, as it relates to the lessons we can learn from the game of chess. And so I talked about the importance of understanding that for those of us who are considered pawns, those of us who are considered to be the lowest members of the caste system, the game of chess gives us hope because it reminds us that if the pawns keep moving, if the pawns keep developing themselves, they get to the point where they can become queens. And I don't mean that they can become women. I mean that they can become the most powerful players on the field. That means that they can live into who they were created to be, the fullness of their lives as pawns. So we talked about that. We talked about the fact that chess is a life lesson. It helps us to realize that what we have to do when we think about navigating this life is think ahead. We have to think critically. We have to think deeply. We have to make sure that we are thinking not just about our move, but about the person who is opposing us, our enemy. What is our enemy's move going to be? And how do we counter that move? So we have to really be present, fully present, as we think about this life that we are living, particularly as Black folks who are always under attack from the system of white inhumanity. We talked about that. And so we spent some time talking also about just the character of a teacher, the character of a teacher that says, I see you. I see you as a person who's willing to give yourself over to being educated, to being one who can receive instruction, to being willing to be malleable, one who can be molded and shaped so that you can learn the power of what it means to I was getting ready to say to play, what it means to position yourself as one who is effective in the struggle. So a teacher who comes alongside and says, I put aside my ego, even though I have the information, even though I have the education, even though I have what you need, I'm going to meet you where you are. I'm going to adjust my teaching style, my pedagogy. I'm going to pay attention to how I am interacting with you so that you can benefit the most, because I already got the information. This is not about me. This is about you getting what you need so that you can find your place in the fight, in the struggle. Oh, I have a call. Hold on just a minute. Caller, you're live on the air at KBF 88.3. Thanks for calling.
Yes, happy fun.
Say it again. Oh, no. We lost you, caller. Call us back. I think I had it that time because I started to hear you. And so I think I figured it out. Call us back, caller. We do want to hear what you have to say. So these are all of the things that we were talking about on Tuesday, which were powerful, which were significant, which were important, which were transformative. And they were all basically positive messages that I was receiving from the interaction that I had with National Chess Master Tony D, who's willing to come alongside me, one who is willing to learn the game of chess, but don't know anything. I don't know enough about it yet to be effective, but I do want to continue on the journey. Today, though, I want to focus on those messages that I received from my interaction with National Chess Master Tony D that I did not believe were positive at all. Now, let me be clear. Chess Master Tony D was positioning himself to be one who could teach me based on his knowledge as a master of the game, as one who has played the game, as one who has excelled at the game, as one who has become a champion of the game. That's how he approached the situation. He has nothing to do with how I received it. We talk about that all the time. Intent does not equal impact. What you come forward to do, how you approach a situation, what your perspective is, how you show up in a space. You may have the very best intentions in all the world, but that has nothing to do with how a person receives you. That has nothing to do with how what you say lands on the ears of a person. That has nothing to do with the impact that you make make on a person. So even though you may have good intentions, what happens in that space, you have no control over, because you cannot control another person's body. The work that I do as a strategist, as a cultural strategist, gathering people together to have conversations about what it means to focus on diversity, equity, inclusion, and peace. When we have these conversations, I always say at the beginning of the session, I say, I cannot make this a safe space for you. I will not even attempt to guarantee that this is a safe space for you, because I cannot control what's going to come out of another person's mouth. I cannot control how what is said in this space impacts another person. So because I do not have complete control, I cannot ensure that you are going to be safe. What I can guarantee is that you will be safer. So when I recognize the harm, when I see the trauma unfolding, I will arrest it in that moment. I will capture it in that moment and make sure that we offer opportunities for you to heal in that space. So it becomes a safer space for you to have conversations, but it is not an exact safe space. And so that's the same thing that's happening all the time when we enter into relationship with other people. There is no guarantee that the space will be safe, but it can be safer when we understand the ways that we can learn how to approach what happens when a person is traumatized by something we didn't even mean to happen, but it happened anyhow. Let me get this call. Caller, you're live on the air at KBF 88.3. Thanks for calling.
Well, Hotel, good morning, Miss Denise.
Hotel.
Yeah, how your mom doing?
We got to help her eat. We need to, I don't know what you got to do, Hotel, but you're going to have to send me a text or something to tell her to eat some more protein. That's what she needs to do.
Well, you know how we get when we get to that certain age, you know, we have that streak of stubbornness. So, you know, just got to be a little bit patient.
Yeah, I'm trying, but I'm also concerned about her lab work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just got to be a little bit patient. But I know that since you mentioned the struggle and dealing with DEI, and I don't know whether or not many of the listeners realize it, but the president of the University of Arkansas System, which is a black man, has done away with the office of DEI. He's reassigned those individuals to other places in the university and has getting away from that, okay? So, like I always say, skin folks don't make kin folks. And it's just a matter of your actions. Secondly, and I know a lot of listeners don't realize this, but Governor Sanders has sent down a decree ignoring educational requirements and experience in promotions in state jobs. So I just want folks to be aware that this struggle ain't over. And when they say that the South will rise again, that's exactly what they mean. They want to put us, black folks, back in slavery. And with that, peace and blessings.
Thanks, Hotep. I really appreciate your comments when you said, let me just start with the end first, because the beginning is going to segue into what we'll be talking about for our topic today, but that the system of white inhumanity wants to put us back into slavery again. I just want to tweak that a little bit to say that we have not yet escaped slavery. Those of us, and particularly those who are in Black bodies, we were enslaved for years, for over 400 years. And when Lincoln emancipated the slaves against his own will, so those of us as Black people who are praising President Lincoln, we act like he was the best thing that happened to us because he emancipated the slaves. You are misinformed. It was not Lincoln's desire to emancipate the slaves. What he wanted to do was figure out a way to have a both and, figure out a way to stop the system of enslavement because of the pressure that he was under, but also remind us that white people are superior. That is what he said out of his own mouth. He wants to make sure that we were always reminded that white people are superior to Black folks. And so we need to rethink how we respond to Lincoln as it relates to the emancipation of slaves. And so we have not yet escaped that, because all we are living into now is a different iteration of slavery. It doesn't look like what we call chattel slavery, where you could consider Black folks to be your property. We don't have that particular form of slavery. But when we think about the system of mass incarceration, that is slavery. When we think about the system of housing, that we still have the red lines. Mike Orndorff talked about the invisible red lines. They are not invisible to us. They may be invisible to some of y'all, but they are not invisible to us. That is a system of enslavement. When we talk about how we are treating our Black children in the system of education, how we talk about these zero tolerance policies that aim to promote and support the system of school to prison pipeline, then that is another way, that's another iteration of slavery. When we talk about lack of access to healthcare, COVID helped us to see the disparities in healthcare, where Black people were dying at a much higher rate than white folks because of the system that has been in place for centuries now, that deprives Black folks in particular of having access to adequate, culturally competent healthcare. And so when we think about that and our inability to be able to show up in a space in a doctor's office when we are able, because we do have access, then we are not treated as we should be treated, as humans who understand our bodies, who are participants in the conversation for the best healthcare that we should receive. And so this is a different iteration of what it means to be enslaved. And so it's not about the South going back to enslaving us. It's about the South continuing to reimagine what it means to enslave Black bodies in particular. Are Black bodies the only ones that are enslaved? Absolutely not. But that's what I focus on every time I show up on the mic. But if we want to talk about white people, you are enslaved by this system of white inhumanity as well, particularly those of you who are poor. It is not the system's design to get you to be in a space where you can prosper and you can thrive. The system's design for you who are white and poor is to focus so much on your skin that you don't think about anything else. You don't think about your own wealth management. You don't think about your own legacy that you're going to leave for your children. You don't think about your own land ownership or home ownership. You don't think about any of those things. All you think about is, I'm glad to be white because it's better to be white than to be Black. And that keeps you captured in the system of classism and capitalism. So you yourselves are victims as well. It's just that I don't focus on that when I have a conversation, but it is not lost on me that you too are victims of the system of white inhumanity. And so I appreciate you, Hotep, reminding us that this system of enslavement continues even now. I'm also grateful that you talked about the fact that it is, oh wait, I have a call. Caller, you're live on the air at KBF 88.3. Thanks for calling.
Yes, people love y'all. This is Brother Solomon. Now,
Hello?
are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, I didn't know what you were doing the other night. I'm getting that feedback again now, all of a sudden. But what I want to talk about is their parental authority over us. It is said not to know when you were born is to remain perpetually a child. So that's the main thing. It's not just slavery, it's us as people of color being treated like children. Now, they are our illegitimate but functional parents. And I say that because, like they give us an illusion of inclusion, but they still treat us as if they have the parental authority over us. Y'all have to forgive me for talking like this, but each time I say something, I hear feedback going through my ear. I guess, like I say, I used to work at the radio station, so I know all the tricks of the trade. So that's one of them reaper deals. But only thing they give us is the power to appear that we have power. So as we appear that we have power, and at the same time are powerless because our illegitimate parents to keep us, or like they keep their foot on our necks to appear to be childlike. Well, this reverb or echo is getting annoying. So I'll leave this with you. Peace and love to all. It's not just being treated like slaves, it's being treated like children. And that's what I wanted to compare that synonym or comparison to. Again, peace and love to all.
Yeah, and so I agree with you that we are positioned as children in this system of white inhumanity because they have continually withheld from us the information that would help us grow up, the information and the knowledge that we need to help us become more sophisticated as adults. We don't have, because the system of white inhumanity does not provide it for us. But as Brother Willie continues to push us to think about, and as Ezekiel continues to support the efforts of Brother Willie to say, look, even though the system of white inhumanity is not making it easy for you to get this information, there are books that you can read that were written by us and for us that we can engage, where we can learn. And when we get more knowledge, then we can position ourselves not to be children, which allows me to have the conversation that I want to have about the chess game. I show up at the chess game. I show up at the table, and National Chess Master Tony D, the one who is skilled, the one who is educated, the one who is empowered to impart the knowledge about what it means to play chess. He gives his passion. He's passionate about this game, and he can talk about all of the different skills. He can talk about all of the different methods. He can talk about all of the different strategies. He can talk about all of those things. So he goes up, and I appear as a child because I have no knowledge. I've not done my homework. I have not read up on the game of chess. I have not read up on the different pieces and how they can move. I have not done anything. I show up as a blank slate saying to him, look, I'm interested in this game. Teach me what you know I want to learn. And one of the things that I noticed, and don't think I didn't point it out to National Chess Master Tony D, because I did. I also pointed it out to Leonard, who showed up later. And I asked him, do you know how to play the game of chess? I said, expertly. And so I sat to the side. I moved myself over so the two of them can play. And when they began to play, let me back up. When National Chess Master Tony D began to play with me, he said, white always moves first. And I said, why? He said, that's just the way it is. I said, but here we are right now in this space where it's just me and you. Why does the white person, the white chess piece have to move first? Can't we do it differently in this space since we are in control right now? Why do we still have to do it the way they say that we have to do it? He said, well, that's just the way that it is. So then Leonard shows up, and he sits down with National Chess Master Tony D, and they have the same conversation about who's going to go first. Well, white always moves first. So I say again, why does white have to move first? And Leonard says, that's just the way it is. And again, I say, but why does it have to be that way? All us sitting here as Black folks, why can't we change the rules even for this moment? Why do we have to feed into this system that says white folks have to move first, or the white pieces have to move first? Because what I am convinced of, this is what I've been thinking about since Friday when I was having this conversation about this chess game, that just because somebody said this is the way that the game should be doesn't mean that that's a fact. That was just their opinion, and they had the power of the pen to write it down and codify it, so to speak, to make it say, so that we can then begin to function in that way. But it is possible for us to raise up and say, just because you said it should be so doesn't mean that we have to follow it. Doesn't mean that it can't be changed. Doesn't mean that it can't be challenged. And so when I began to challenge the notion of the white pieces going first, one of the things that was said at some point was, oh, if you want to go first, we're going to turn the game around. Because National Chess Master Tony Davis had this board that was pliable, so he could actually roll it up. So it was easy for us to move. It was easy for us to manipulate. And so, if in order for me to go first, we were going to turn the board around so that I had to become white in that moment. I had to become white in order to go first. And I'm like, wait a minute. What messages are we sending through this game? What messages have we internalized because somebody white decided this is how we're going to play this game? We're going to make sure that the white pieces go first. And no matter what, even if you want to go first, you have to position yourself as a white piece to go first. All of this is the ways that they use to help us internalize, to help us, not to help us internalize, but to internalize, to make us internalize, to indoctrinate us into the ways of centering the system of white inhumanity, for which I was pushing back on, but the Black people at the table were telling me, well, that's just the way that it is. Caller, you're live on the air, K8.3. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, excellent point. All we can answer is say, well, that's just the way it is. With no explanation. Why can't the Black piece go first? We got to vote the same amount of pieces. Everything is the same. That's like you say, that's a psychological thing for white supremacy. And another thing, I tried to call the other day just to let you know that I thought that was a great analogy. The chess game, which I've been playing a long time. The chess game, the analogy of chess, and I related the fight of Black people. And one more thing from the other day. Remember when you were getting a whole bunch of that one call and kept getting a whole bunch of static? Now, and I'm sure this may have crossed your mind, we have always been, when looking at Tulsa and Rosewood, when we try to do some positive things, they get disrupted like that. I would not be surprised if that call that kept making all that noise was a thing done purposely just to disrupt this only good Black talk show. Why doesn't it happen with me or when my brother calls or anybody else? But and so that I think might have been what's going on, because they always try to disrupt us trying to do some positive things. Thank you so much for taking my call, and I'll listen.
Thank you, caller, for calling in. It made me, what you just said about the disruption being intentional, it made me think about that time that I was going in about why do Black people want to be white? Like, why would we want to be evil? Why would we want to be? And then all of a sudden there was the noise that came in that I think they said was, I don't know, I think they said it's the weekly the weekly sound that we have every time that, I don't know, whatever it was. But yes, I am not really a conspiracy theorist, but I do wonder sometimes about the timing of things. And so when I was talking Tuesday, I was saying that I was so busy trying to protect my king, because that's what National Chess Master Tony Davis said was my purpose. My purpose is to protect the king. And so I was so busy trying to protect the king that I was setting up a false sense of security. And so I was saying to us that what is it that we are trying so hard to protect that gives us this false sense of security? And I've been thinking about the words that came out of my mouth. I know a lot of times we have callers that ask the question, do you ever listen to the words that come out of your mouth? And the answer to that is yes. And I was thinking about how I was saying, we are concerned about keeping our homes. We're concerned about keeping our cars. And I know that there were some people, because I got calls about it, there were some people who were like, Denise, you act like it's no big deal to have a house and to have a home. Like people can just put that on the line. And I'm saying, no. I am a homeowner. I know how important it is to keep your home and to have it and to want to hold on to it so that it can be a legacy. My point in saying that we have to be careful for the false sense of security that we create for ourselves has to do with the fact that, let's think about what the caller said. historically speaking, every time we stand up for our rights, the system of white inhumanity unleashes a force against us that is powerful and impactful. And so when we think about Tulsa, when we think about 630 right here in Little Rock, when we think about Ferris Street in Jackson, Mississippi, we can go all across the country thinking about the different ways, the different areas of Black development that the government sanctioned to be destroyed because they did not want to see the comeuppance of Black folks. When we think about how our lives were changed overnight because of bombings, because of lynchings, because of arson, because of rape and slaughter, what did we do? We reinvented ourselves. We lost our homes, we lost our communities, in some cases we lost our families, and we still kept moving forward. We did not stop, we did not die, we were not destroyed, we kept moving forward, and we figured out a way to get what we needed. We figured out a way to get another house. We figured out a way to get educated. We figured out a way to build community. We figured it out. And so that's the point that I'm trying to make. I'm not trying to suggest or even imply that home ownership is not important, but it cannot be more important than our liberation. That's the point that I want to make. Caller, you're live on the air at KBF 88.3. Thanks for calling.
Yes, again, peace and love. Now, there was a time during the Black Lives Matter that Bobby Fischer, now he's one of the best players on the planet, white boy, he said that in honor of Black Lives Matter, we're going to let Black move first. Now, if that is not white supremacy and power, for, like I say, it was that one day. And just like you said, I don't understand that. But what I really don't understand the most is how we let the hacks and whacks divide us. That's the Democrats and Republicans, when we should be team players instead of just choosing whether to be a Republican or a Democrat. It really don't make sense to me. Just like white moving first don't make sense to you. And it don't make sense to me. But there was a time during Black Lives Matter that Bobby Fischer officially said, we're going to let Black move first. And thank you, Bobby Fischer. Again, peace and love to all.
Well, I have no thanks for Bobby Fischer, because here's the thing. When you say, when I was sitting across the table from National Chess Master Tony D, and he was set up with the white pieces, I was set up with the Black pieces. He says, you want to go first? You can go first. He says this to me after we have a series of conversations, a series of games. You can go first. He wasn't saying, it wasn't about the conversation that I was pushing back on about race. He was just saying, I want you to, I want to give you the advantage. Since you are learning, I want you to go first, because going first gives you an advantage. But what happens is he was going to allow me to go first while I remained in the same position. So when you look at this board that National Chess Master Tony D had, I don't know what all the boards look like, but when you look at this particular board, there were numbers along the side horizontally, and there were alphabets along the bottom horizontally. And those were positions to help you understand how to chart the moves that people are making. And so the white pieces had the positions of being number 1 and number 2, while the Black pieces had the positions of being number 7 and number 8. So even if you allowed me to go first, I'm still moving first from the position of number 7. You are not allowing me to move first from the position of number 1. So here's where Bobby Fischer comes in and says, I'm going to let you do this. I'm not going to change your position. I'm not going to give you any, I'm not going to change your position. I'm not going to redirect the trajectory of your life. I'm just going to make you feel good right now. I'm going to make you feel a little better because you can say, well, at least I went first, but I'm still in position 7 and 8. While even though you let me go first, you in positions 1 and 2. So I'm not going to thank you for that. I don't feel good about that. It's the same thing I was thinking about as it relates to Juneteenth. This Saturday, we had this weekend leading up to the commemoration of the holiday on Monday. And as I was trying to take my mama to get her nails done. That's what I was trying to do. And we were blocked right here. We came down 16th Street. I wanted to cross over Main Street and keep going on up to Broadway because I like to get on 630 from Broadway rather than Main. And that's what I was trying to do, but I could not because there were vendors out right here by the South Main Collective and in between the South Main Collective and the Love Spell Tattoo Parlor, which is right here at the corner of Main Street and 16th. And so we could not continue straight. And I said, oh, so now that they have declared Juneteenth to be a holiday, you got all of these white vendors out hoping that Black folks will come and spend money to support their cause. And I said, I wish I could sit right here. I didn't have the time, but I wish I could sit right here and see how many Black folks showed up to spend money with the white vendors who are only trying to capitalize on the fact that we are now calling Juneteenth a holiday. I'm not concerned about the holiday. I'm not concerned about your liberation. I'm not concerned about the conversation. I'm not concerned about pushing back on racism. I'm not concerned about standing up as an abolitionist for slavery as it shows up in every aspect of our life, even now. All I want to do is see if I can make money on you because you feel good right now. You feel good because we can celebrate Juneteenth. You feel good because you have a holiday. So now let me see how I can make money off of your emotions. And so that's what Bobby Fischer was doing. I want to make you feel good in this Black Lives Matter movement so I can say you going first, but you ain't changed my position at all. Caller, you're live on the air at KBF 88.3. Thanks for calling.
Thank you. Great analogy. Great analogy. I am so glad that you got that out this morning to the people because that chess game is so important. Your move is so important. When you have the master there as your teacher and you are a pupil, and this is the way they look at us. When you are a pupil, you can have the first move, but remember, the master is the master of the board. He only allows you to make that first move so he can know your strategy, and therefore he can keep his strategy over you. Therefore, you will never rise up as long as I know your move. He keeps you in your place by letting you have the first move. You will never rise above the master until you break free from the master.
Okay. You want to say something else, Carl? I just want to make sure I'm giving space for you to say all that you want to say.
Well, that's one of my main points. But what we have lost as a people, and we're redefining and we're refining it now, is what you spoke about earlier, about the Tulsa, about the Oklahoma, about the arson, the burning, the lynches, and this and that. And we come back from it. So people listen to the sister. We need to rebirth and refine our resilience, our persistence, and our determination that we will not be stopped. And that's it.
Thank you, caller. I appreciate that. And I do want to say, I said to National Chess Master Tony D, I don't have to go first. He said to me more than once, I don't need to go first, because that, to me, that wasn't where the power lies. I'm trying to learn this game. I'm trying to figure out the strategy. I'm trying to figure out the end game. If you give me the information, and that's what I was saying to him, is as for me, the way that my learning style is, and I'm not saying everybody learns this way, but the way that I learn is to ask questions. But here's the problem. I did not know enough about the game to know which questions to ask. I could only ask the questions after something detrimental happened to me on the board. It was only after I got knocked, only after He said, check, check, check. He put me in check so many times, and I would have to say, wait a minute, stop right here. Help me understand this move. It was after he would say check again. I said, hold on. But stop. Let's go back a couple of pieces. Help me understand. If I can understand what is happening to me, if I can understand the moves that I am making that are putting me in jeopardy, if I can understand how I am threatening my life by making wrong decisions on this field of life, then I can make better decisions. So the education becomes the most important thing. The understanding becomes the most important thing. It did not matter to me that I was losing. It did not matter to me that he was calling me into check. None of that made any difference to me at all, because what I needed to learn was how this works. And Black folks, we have to begin to take that posture. I need all the education. I need all the information. I need all the understanding of what is happening to me right now as this And if I do not understand what is happening to me, I'm going to lose every time. And I was losing every single time. But I said, I'm willing to sacrifice losing the game in order to preserve my life. So if I got to lose this game to learn, I'm willing to lose the game because the learning is more important. When will we get to the point that we wake up and say, I want to learn more than I want to the house. I want to understand more than I want to hold on to the car. I want to make sure that I am functioning in a way that I am not complicit in my own jeopardy. I am not jeopardizing my own life because of my own poor decisions, because I am uninformed, because I'm trying to hold on to a title. When are we going to get to that point that our livelihood is more than the material trappings that are offered by the Bobby Fishers of the world? Caller, you're live on the air at KBF 88.3. Thanks for calling.
Hey, Denise, it's Uwe.
Hey, Uwe.
All right, it's been a minute.
It has been.
Okay. Hey, you talking about my game right there, Denise. At that test, I love chess. I'm not sorry to chess master, but I pick up a lot of points what he's talking about, because you know what? I used to always wonder, why come white always went first? Why come black can't go first? How come we always get put down in second? Like you said, 7 to 8. Hey, we can't go first. You know what I'm saying? Well, one day when I was in prison, I learned chess in prison, and I told you about my prison experience before. I told you I've been in prison before. But that's why I learned chess at Denise, because when I was out here in the free world, I had no interest in chess. But once I was had some time, I got to learn chess. And I said, why come white always go first? And I said, oh, because back from the days of slavery, white folks always want to dominate us. And you know what? Like you said before, the end game is the best game. Like you said on Tuesday, you said the end game is the best game. The white folks got their end game. They already know what their game is going to be. Even though their population is declining, that's why they want to do away with affirmative action. You know, because you know they say, oh, that's reverse discrimination. No, it's not. That's something that we deserve from the first, because we the one got taken from us. We didn't go and invade white folks' land. White folks came and invaded our land. But I want to say, I'm not gonna go on one, but I'm just saying, you got me excited, Denise. White folks got the end game. That's the best game of chess game, Denise. It's the end game. As long as you got your end game down, oh, you're gonna win the game every time. Hey, I'm out of here. And love you, Denise.
I love you too. All right, thank you, Uwe. Yeah, and I am determined to learn this game of chess. I'm going to learn the end game, and I'm going to learn to play it, because I believe that there are lessons and principles from the game of chess that we can apply to our own lives. And one of the things that National Chess Master Tony Davis said is that most of us, as Black people in particular, that's when we learn the game of chess. We learn it in prison. We learn to think deeply and critically in prison. We learn to think 2 and 3 and 4 steps ahead in prison. What if we had that talent? What if we had that ability before we end up in prison. Maybe we wouldn't end up in prison at all, because we would begin to think more deeply about how we are behaving, how we are acting in this world as we try to navigate this game called life. Again, I don't think that my life is a game, but I do think that the system of white inhumanity comes for me as if my life is a game. And I need to be ready to counter. I need to be ready to attack. I need to be ready to function the way that I would on the chessboard. Caller, you're live on the air at KBF 88.3. Thanks for calling.
You're more than welcome. Good morning, Sister Denise, to your listeners and those on the web. Let me just say this. You remember the different names of the chess pieces. A castle, actually castles were invented in Africa and then made their way into Europe. So the pieces of the chess game are from pieces way before slavery. Now what am I saying? Black moved first because Moors introduced the game of chess to the Europeans, and black moved last because Europeans being not knowledgeable or proficient in the game of chess, they were given an opportunity to move first as a result of being introduced to the game of chess as Moors. And that's the reason white moved first, not because of any advantage that they have, but because they were actually at a disadvantage. So they were given sort of a head start with it. And the Moors are the ones who introduced chess to the Europeans. Castles were not invented in Europe. They learned how to come out of caves and huts and things like that from the folks from Africa who had castles all throughout Africa. Don't ever see them or know anything about the history. That's why it's important to read about these things. And I'm sure if Otep was called back, he could really give you some geography on the progression and movement of these games. And thank you for letting me put that in there. But that's why white moved first, is because the blacks who introduced that and to them were trying to give them a running start. Thank you for the information that I just gave you.
Ezekiel said, thank you for the information that he just gave us. I appreciate that information because that is part of the conversation. And so those people like National Chess Master Tony Davis, like Leonard, who says that he's an expert of the game in the game, those of us who have the information, it is important for us to teach the information. And so one of the conversations that came up at the table when we were talking about chess was, how do we help children when we are teaching children, when we are teaching the youth about this game? Like, how do we introduce these concepts to them? And many times we are afraid to talk to you. I'm not sure we need to tell them about racism. I'm not sure we need to talk to them about slavery. I'm not sure that they need to know about these systems that are set up against them because I don't know. Like, no, we absolutely, positively need to be talking to them about this game, about these systems, about the history of our world. This is our opportunity as we are sitting down in community, as we are having a game that is non-threatening, as we are setting ourselves up to enjoy each other, just at the chessboard, just as we are playing dominoes. The whole purpose at the end of the day is to enjoy each other. And in the midst of enjoying each other, we are educated, we are informed, we get some understanding, we learn some things, and we can walk away feeling empowered because now we know. Imagine what my experience would have been like had I sat down at the table as one who didn't know anything about chess, and the person said to me, whoever it was, the person who was teaching me said, now I'm going to go first as the white piece, because at the beginning of this game, when chess was first introduced, it was introduced by Africans. And the Africans had the knowledge and information, and they knew that they had the upper hand. So to try to level the playing field for their opponent, who happened to be white, they allowed them to go first so that they can feel like they were able to function on the board, since I already knew that I was going to win. So I didn't mind them going first because I'm going to win anyhow. That would have changed a lot about my perception of the game had I been given that information, but I wasn't. What I was told is white go first because that's how it is. And in the systems of white inhumanity in which we live, racism plays a part. So when you say white goes first, I have an entirely different understanding of that phrase than I do when you say white only goes first because black lets you, because black has the advantage. Now that's a different conversation. And that's the conversation that I need to hear. And that's the conversation that our children need to hear as well. Calling, you're live on the air at KBF 88.3. Thanks for calling.
Yes, I noticed second I noticed you are right about us having to teach our children about what it is, and because that's why the power that we don't want to teach CRT, because two things. If we found out about what was really going on, who the real enemy is, then we might not be committing all this black on black crime and have a different love for each other. And secondly, they might not see how the propaganda that America and everybody white is such great people, this is such a great country and everything, they would have a different view on how their people really are. And I'll say that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for calling. Thank all of you for joining us for The Workplace. We have been live right here at KABF 88.3, where we are the voice of the people. And we will be back on next week. I'm pretty sure, I don't know for sure, but I'm almost sure that Tony will be back with Neil on Monday at 4 p.m. for Down with Debt. On Tuesday, you have Community Voices with Denise and Tony. And then on Thursday, again, we will be right back here for The Workplace with Tony and Denise. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next time.
This is KA.